See, now I am going to explain nested for loop concept. We have already seen that nested if else, okay, in the decision making control structure, means if inside if, that is nothing but nested if. In the same way, suppose you are placing any for inside any outer for, then that will be the concept of nested for loop. Normally for pattern programs this nested for loop is used. Okay, now what is the syntax for nested for? At first you have to place one for here, like let any for here initialization. Suppose already we have written any one for, and inside that again we are placing one more for, like again initialization, then test expression, and then update expression. That means for inside any outer for, that is the concept of nested for loop. Here always remember, for every iteration of outer for, this inner for will execute wholly. Wholly means from first to last. Okay, means whole for loop will get executed for every iteration of outer loop. This is the most important point you have to keep in mind in this case, that is nested for. Now how it will act? First this initialization will take place. After that this condition will get checked. If this is true, then control will come here, and again this for loop will get executed wholly. Means what? Here again this initialization of this inner for loop will get executed. After initialization it will check for condition. If it is true, it will go here to execute whatever statements inside that. After execution of all the statements, it will go to update the value of the counter, whatever internal for loop, whatever inner for loop, its counter's value will get updated. Then again it will go here, again test the condition, again if it is true, again execute the statements. Till this condition is true, all the statements inside that for will get executed, and after a whole execution of this for loop, then control will come here to update the value of counter of outer loop. Okay, and then after that it will go to check for the test expression whatever placed inside that outer loop. If it is true, again this whole loop will get executed, like again initialization of that inner loop will get done, again test expression will get checked, again it is true, then again this will get executed again and again and again. After execution of this inner loop, again it will go here to update whatever value of that outer loop. To understand this nested for loop, I am going to explain one program here, that is display multiplication tables from 2 to 5. In this case, what output is expected, like table of 2, like 2 to 0, 2 1s are 2, 2 2s are 4, up to 20. Table of 3 should get displayed like this, like 3, 6, 9 up to 30. Table of 4 should get displayed like 4, 8, 12 up to 40, and table of 5. In this way output is expected in this program. Now we know that for displaying one single table, that is table of any single number, we have to write one for loop. How? Suppose the number is like n, and to display multiplication table of n, we have to write loop like this, like for I equals to, suppose I is a variable, integer variable, in that case I is equal to 1, I less than equal to, let 10 we have to write, because up to 10 we have to multiply that n, and multiply by I we will do, and I will change from 1 to 10. Every time we have to increment that value of I by 1. Here we have to display like printf %d/t comma I into n. Whatever calculated value of that multiplication will get displayed. In this way that multiplication table of n will get displayed. Okay, this for is required to display multiplication table of a single number, but I want to repeat this process again and again, means I want to repeat this for loop for multiple number of times. Then we can place one more for loop here, like for n equals to, here I will use n because I have written here n, that's why n will start from 2, because I want to display multiplication table of 2 first, then 3, then 4, then 5. For displaying single multiplication table, this for loop is there. but I want to repeat this process again and again, and for that I will place this outer for loop. For every value of outer loop, for every iteration of outer loop, this whole inner loop will get executed, and by this we can get multiplication tables from 2 to 5 displayed. That's why we have to change that value of n from 2 to 5 in this way, like n equals to 2, n is less than equal to 5, and plus plus. Okay, and here we will display message like this, table of 2, table of 3, means here we will write like this, printf less than equals to 5 and plus plus, and we will write here like printf slash n table of %d, and after that colon comma n. First this message will get displayed. This will get executed 4 number of times. 2 to 5 means 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, every time we are incrementing value of that n by 1. That's why it will work for 2 to 5, means 4 number of times, and this statement will get executed 4 number of times, and this for loop will get executed 4 number of times. Okay, and this statement for first time this statement will get executed 10 times, again 10 times, again 10 times, again 10 times. Actually this statement will get executed 40 number of times in this way. Now here it will display I into n every time. In this way we can write program or for loop, whatever nested for. Here this for and this for is inside this outer for, this is inner for, this is outer for. For every value of n, means n is initially 2, it will check whether it is true or false. Now this condition is true, it will display like table of 2 colon, and after that this whole for loop will get executed. In that case I will change from 1 to 10, and every time it will display I into n. N is here 2 initially, that's why it will display 1 into 2, first that is 2, then 1 into, then 2 into 2, that is 4, then 3 into 2, that is 6. In that way it will display, first time it will display whatever table of 2, next time value of n will become 3, and this for loop will display whatever multiplication table of that 3. In this way this nested for can be used for displaying multiplication table from 2 to 5. We have to declare two variables here, n and I, like int n comma I. In this way we can write program for displaying multiplication tables from 2 to 5 using nested for loop.